one day closer to getting rid of Justin Trudeau. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today's top stories here. We've got talk about paying Jagmeet Singh his pension so he'll vote to get rid of Trudeau. This is the desperation we're at now. Also got Hamas loyalists have completely taken over Union Station, the streets of Toronto, the streets of Montreal. With the ringing in of the new year, it's absolutely insane. Among another terrible story that's going on in New Orleans, let's jump into this. First off, coming from Rachel here on True North, she talks with Brett Wilson, who I believe was a dragon on Dragon's Den Canada. Yeah, I just looked it up. So he was on Dragon's Den for 3 seasons, and apparently he says that he is willing to pay Jagmeet Singh his pension to get Justin Trudeau out of power.
We are joined today by the man, Brett Wilson himself, who is going to tell us about his plan to privately fund NDP leader Jagmeet Singh's pension in hope that he will trigger an early election. So Brett, I want to start off. I saw a report from CBC News this week that said that Jagmeet Singh would be eligible to claim $66,000 a year annually beginning at the age of 65. How much are you actually willing to fund for him to help pay for his pension if he agrees to trigger an early election?
Well, let's go back to big picture. One of the greatest investments I could ever make in this country is making sure that we move to an election quickly. And the only impediment to an election quickly is Jagmeet Singh. He says he doesn't trust Trudeau, but he refuses to act on his own words. So I started out with a bit of a smart-ass comment on Twitter saying that I would fund his accelerated pension plan. And whatever that is, I've seen numbers, $2+ million. And let me tell you, as much as I could afford to do that myself for the right reasons, again, investing in Canada, I've had a dozen different people reach out and say, can I participate in your program? And
this is absolutely insane that we have investors stepping up to pay off Jagmeet to vote against Trudeau to get an election. That's how bad the system is. We shouldn't have to rely on this. We should be able to call a referendum in Canada. We shouldn't be held hostage by a terrible prime minister who's running our country into the ground. This is hilarious, though. Although this is a year overdue, like 2 years overdue, 9 years overdue. Doing it now really doesn't make any difference. I say that, though, with a little bit of hesitation because of what NDP Charlie Angus said the other day about continuing to support Justin Trudeau, which directly contradicts what Jagmeet Singh has said. Now he's going to not support Justin Trudeau. That party is a mess. This whole situation is a mess. It seems like it's too late now. I don't know if it'll make a difference or not, but we'll see.
And one of my friends said, I might even make money giving a pension to Jagmeet. There's that many people interested in seeing him gone. Now, whether this is legal, don't know. Is it ethical? I think so. I don't know how the government works, nor do I care. The real point is to drive home, Jagmeet, you're done.
So you said that you've had people reaching out to you who are willing to help fund this, and they said they'd actually come out ahead now. Are they actually saying they'll come out ahead because some of the restrictions from the Trudeau government would be rolled back under a Conservative government? How would they come out ahead under this?
No, it would be I that would come out ahead in the context of if I needed to raise $2.3 million, one of my senior legal partner at a law firm in Calgary looked at me and said, you'll have no trouble raising more than $2.5 million to get rid of Jagmeet. And again, it's an investment in Canada. It's got nothing to do with where it goes. Happens to be going to Jagmeet. Jagmeet's doing nothing for Canada now. So when he leaves, he'll be doing nothing for Canada. But more importantly, the fact that we can call an election and the odds of Trudeau getting reelected slim to nil. But more importantly, let's let people of Canada call the shots. I'm not happy that Bloc Québécois gets to delay the program. I'm really unhappy with the way the NDP has dawdled and delayed the whole protocol. And again, Jagmeet will say, I don't trust, I don't believe, I don't honor the grounds that Trudeau walks on, and yet he refuses to act when Poilievre calls his shots and says, look, all right, well then let's call for a non-confidence vote. Let's call for an election. And so as much as it seems silly that one individual would put up $2.5 million, if I'm going to invest in Canada, one of the greatest things, I mean, to be blunt, if we could change governments, I'd make more in a year than giving up that call at that $2.5 million because of the investments, because of the opportunity. And again, whether you like Trump or hate him, a lot of people don't like Trump the man. I honor Trump the leader. And what he's forcing Canada to do right now is good for Canada. Ultimately, we will be better off as we can ship fossil fuels to the world, ship fossil fuels to the US, all of that. It seems irrelevant, but Trudeau's not the guy to do those negotiations.
No, he's not. And we've got breaking news regarding that. So today, January 1st, Russia has cut off gas supply from Russia to Europe. And this is because Ukraine has declined to keep that agreement in place. Now we have parts of Europe that have no home heating, which is absolutely insane. So you can see here in this report from DW News that shows the pipelines.
Ukraine has stopped the transit of Russian gas through its territory after a contract with Moscow expired. The pipeline was one of the last routes delivering Russian gas to Europe, supplying Slovakia and also Hungary, two countries that have maintained close ties with Russia despite its invasion of Ukraine.
It says here Russia ceased natural gas supplies to Europe via Ukraine because the expired agreement. Ukraine declined to renew the agreement, citing national security concerns amidst ongoing conflict with Russia. The European Union has been preparing for this development by diversifying its energy sources and reducing reliance on Russian gas. In 2021, Russia accounted for 40% of the EU's imports, decreasing to less than 10% in 2023. With that, we've got this in Transnistria. Central heating was turned off after Russian gas supplies were stopped. The streets are completely empty. There are no people. People are advised to dress warmly because no one knows how to solve the problem.
А где все? А где все?
So it's like a ghost town here in winter. No home heating. It's tough times in the world right now. So they had a report on CTV about this.
Now, much of Europe has already cut Russian gas supplies. So what kind of impact will this move have?
It affects a few countries, Hungary, Slovakia, Italy, Austria. They were still dependent on gas on this pipeline, not exclusively. Plus, they also knew this was coming, and they have built up supplies. So this is not going to be a dramatic impact right now, but it means they are still scrambling around for alternative sources. The alternative sources are more expensive. And that's really the bottom line story. So the Americans are pouring in liquid gas. Liquid gas is coming in from other parts of the world, the Middle East, and so on. So the people will have the gas supplies. They will pay more money for it. And Europe as a whole will be put at a bit of a disadvantage when competing against the United States, China, and other markets that are using cheaper gas. So that's really the economic impact here.
Is there any way there could be an energy shortage in Europe because of this?
No, because there are the other liquid national LNG sources available. It's the question of the price you pay for it.
This is interesting because if Justin Trudeau had gone ahead and set up those LNG facilities in Canada, we'd be making a ton of money off of this situation. But because he didn't do that and quadrupled down on all this green EV stuff that is going bankrupt, it has just further hurt our country. It's proven he is a failed loser of a leader.
Get it. It just costs you money.
How much of an increase are you expecting to see?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not an economist, and I think it's anyone's guess right now. We know that in the last 12 hours, as of New Year's Day, it has spiked. But again, that's the market reaction to a situation. Even though everyone knew it was coming, it still has an impact when it comes. There's an emotional side to these things. But over time, it'll sort of peter out. But prices in Europe will still remain relatively high. I mean, that is the fact of life because they have to import all this LNG and they have to take it from, gasified, liquefy it, gasified again. That costs money. It's not the efficient way of doing it. Whereas a pipeline coming directly from Russia in gasified form was far more economical.
If we just take a look at Transnistria here. So I showed you earlier those pipelines coming from Russia going through Ukraine. There's two of them and they end up in Slovakia here. Well, Moldova here, it's landlocked around Ukraine, so it has no access. So basically it had to get its gas coming from European Union. And along the border here is a area called Transnistria, which is that clip I just showed you. In this map here, you can see it. It's this darker area. And there is a city there, Tiraspol. It appears not all areas do have access to natural gas now, not even the more expensive LNG, as people are freezing because of this whole situation. This comes down to this conflict with Russia. This has to end. This has to be finished with. One thing's for certain is once Donald Trump gets into power, we got Pierre Poilievre in Canada gets into power, there will be an end to the conflict in Russia and Ukraine. Whether that means drawing up new border lines or another solution, this conflict has to end because the world has to move forward and not backwards. And speaking of the world moving backwards, we have New Year's Eve celebrations here. We've got more of these Hamas loyalists. They're in Toronto, they're in Montreal. There's police presence, but they're not doing anything. They're letting them blockade, they're letting them take over train stations. This is insane.
And
Got this one here shared by Brian and Lily. It says, shutting down Union Station to kick off 2025. The apologists in the media will find a way to say it's no big deal.
No peace on stolen land. No peace on stolen land. 2025. Freedom will arrive.
Do they have a permit for this, or do they just commandeer the train station? This is absolutely insane. If this happened any other time in Canadian history, they'd just be arrested for multiple reasons: disturbing the peace, not having a permit, calling for the extermination of a group of people like they have done many other times. But apparently the police don't care. We also got this one here. There's a black and white flag here, which they say screams of Antifada. The black and white flag is the Lion's Den flag, which Israeli officials have designated as a bad group. As per usual, most of these people dressed up covering their faces because they don't want to be identified.
What are you asking?
I'm asking if he's here for New Year's Eve, just like you.
Hamas?
You look like you're here to rob a bank.
No, I'm here to rob something else.
Can we get some cops out here? Like, how much is this costing taxpayers? Like, come on.
Turns every moment of resilience into an opportunity for immense reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Don't worry, folks, it doesn't stop in the streets or in the train stations. We've got it out on ice rinks where families are trying to go out and skate.
We wish for the liberation on the Palestinian nation and end to the occupation and a happy new year. We wish for the liberation on the Palestinian nation and end to the occupation and a happy new year. We wish for the liberation on the Palestinian nation and wish for the liberation to the Palestinian nation and end to the occupation.
So apparently annoying Canadians will somehow fix their problem back home. It doesn't work like that, guys. This one says Hamas supporters are taking over the streets of downtown Toronto and the police do nothing. This is very dangerous. They do not carry Canadian flags. They can take their victory lap while they can right now. Once Poilievre gets in, this is getting cleaned up. Yes, they're dangerous. Mayor Olivia Chow has directed the Toronto Police Service to stand down. Don't expect any action from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Yeah, he's not doing anything. He's fine with this. Otherwise, he would have dealt with it. Looks well funded, likely a slush fund. Yeah, I wonder where that money's coming from. The biggest story coming out of America is a Hamas loyalist. They actually named the guy now as Shamsud Din Jabbar. He had an ISIS flag, one of those black and white ones. He drove around a police barricade. I can't show the footage. And he then floored it and went through a bunch of people on Bourbon Street, I believe. He was wearing a protective vest, and he had a bunch of boom booms in this truck here. One of the questions is, why didn't they raise one of these barricades? The police had just parked their vehicles, and he just drove on a sidewalk that was unprotected.
And one of those proposals was to have mechanical barriers that would prevent vehicles from approaching Bourbon Street after certain hours.
So in the comments, people are saying that these do exist, they just weren't raised. We do have footage here of police officers who, right here, this group, once they got the word, they started running to go help. I highly recommend you don't go look at the footage because it is not nice to look at. Someone has posted a photo here, though, of the guy. What do we even say at this point anymore? It's just something else, and sadly, we're starting off the new year here on a low note. Not only with what's happening in New Orleans and the streets of Toronto, we have this hilarious story of paying Jagmeet to actually do what's right for Canadians. Will Jagmeet Singh support his own words that Pierre Poilievre used in a non-confidence motion? Will he support his own words? He said he will take down Justin Trudeau at the next available chance.